to the debut of Half Horse Tarot. I am here with your August 2018 free general tarot reading. I want to get started on your reading right away, but I'm going to leave some information in the description box below for you guys to read, to get a little bit more information about how I like to go into my readings, and also some tips and things to keep in mind while you watch other readings online as well. So let's go ahead and get started with your reading. The central issue for Pisces this month is going to be the Eight of Flames in reverse. And this card is, this deck is a little bit different from the traditional tarot, and I'll make sure to explain that as we go along. But this card is this deck's version of the Eight of Wands, and it's in the reverse, and the depiction is a little bit different than you normally see in the traditional tarot. As you can see here, we have the wands or the torches arranged in a circle rather than falling like arrows from the sky or going up like arrows into the sky. So with this being in the reverse, I think that for some of you, there is just this complete lack of movement forward. There may be delays in something that you want, delays in travel, delays in communication, especially virtual communication like on the internet or via text. But for a lot of you guys, I think that the key issue this month is going to be going around in circles, as you can see the torches doing in the picture. Just spinning your wheels and getting caught up in the same cycles that have been holding you back for a while and not really moving forward in the way that you need to be doing. So I think that the challenge for you guys is definitely going to be learning how to let go and move on from a path that you're currently on and breaking some of these cycles that might be restrictive. So taking a look at your distant past, we have the Master of Orbs, which is this deck's version of the King of Swords in the traditional tarot. So this could be another person, and if so, they could be male or female, and they would likely be an air sign, sun, moon, or rising, and that could be Aquarius, Libra, or Gemini, especially Libra or Aquarius. So if that doesn't resonate with you, then this person could be somebody who's just very analytical, logical, decisive. They're good communicators, good debaters. They might come off as a little bit harsh. You know, this guy looks kind of mean in his depiction. But all in all, they're not a bad guy. They seem to be pretty decent, but this is going to be in the past for you guys. So if this pertains to you, you're already going to know who this person is. They would have been somebody who's been around for a really long time. Maybe you were involved in a relationship with them at some point, but if that's the case, I would say that the relationship is over, and that because this person is in the upright and things in your reading seem to be kind of stagnant, they might have been the ones to end things with you. This could even be a work relationship. Maybe this was your boss and you lost your job or left your job working for this person. So just kind of apply that to your situation if that makes sense. If that doesn't really pertain to you, then, you know, the people cards can always be intangible item, you know, things as well. So it could be that maybe, you know, you've needed to make some really big decisions, have some really big discussions. Maybe you've been involved with some legalities in the distant past and just have been dealing with those sorts of issues. In your more recent past, we have the Star card here, and it is in the upright. And, you know, I always love to see this card, but there is always a bit of a negative side to it. But first of all, it could be Aquarius, like I was saying with the Master of Orbs. So if that sign is relevant to you, then I think that's really just clarifying this Master of Orbs. So this would be somebody from your past who you're probably more likely than not involved with at this point in time. But for a lot of you guys, I think this is going to be, you know, this card is always about hope and wish fulfillment on a really grand scale. But there's also this element of focusing your sights on something that isn't really attainable. The star is up in the sky, it's far away. What are the chances of getting there? And some people will focus on an ideal that they can't necessarily achieve or attain. And I do think that some of you guys have had the propensity to do that, to wish upon a star and not really be realistic about the way that things actually are. And as a result, because you're waiting for this major thing to come in for you, this major change to happen or improvement or whatever it is, you're not moving forward because you're just stuck on this castle in the sky and there isn't really a foundation underneath it. So looking at the cards above your central issue, I usually see these cards as external influences, so things that other people are doing to you, things that spirit has brought into your life or the universe, whatever you believe in. They can also be things that are just going on in your head. And we have both the Divine Justice card, or Justice in the traditional tarot, and Strength. So the signs of Libra and or Leo might be of importance to you guys. But for a lot of you, I think this is just going to be, things that have largely been going on in your head. As we have here with Justice. Justice is always about balance. Knowing how to be rational, looking at something objectively, being decisive, being able to make those big decisions and be fair, balanced. And you can see here, this is Lady Justice. She's always, or usually depicted as being blindfolded, and she has the scales in her hand. And I think that with this being in reverse, a lot of you guys have been feeling imbalanced. Maybe you feel that you don't really have control over things. Maybe, with what I said before about wishing for something that isn't necessarily attainable, that's left you mentally in kind of a confused state. Like, you don't really know where to go or what to do. Do you continue to wait for this thing to happen because if it happens, it's going to be the greatest thing that's ever, come your way? Or do you move on to something else and really take that risk that maybe things aren't going to work out for you? So I think you guys are having a hard time making a decision, seeing your situation from an objective standpoint, and also just being fair to yourself, because I think, with Pisces, and Pisces is my rising sign, so I can relate with you guys. I think that we can tend to beat ourselves up over a lot of things, and we aren't really fair to ourselves. We also, I think, compromise our own self-integrity a lot of the time and open ourselves up to unfair treatment or mistreatment from other people. So there's the possibility for that as well. Maybe there are people in your life or in your past who haven't really done right by you, and that's kind of affecting your mental state, because I think it's kind of putting you in a place of fear, because we do have Strength in reverse here. And this is this idea that, maybe, and I think it's just fear-based, but the notion that you aren't strong enough to handle something, that lack of courage, that lack of bravery, the fear of, like I said earlier, with this Eight of Flames being in the reverse, this fear of moving forward, of breaking cycles, of starting off in something new just because you kind of crave that security. Or maybe you are hung up on somebody from your past and you're having a hard time letting it go, and it's holding you back and making you incapable of making choices that are ultimately going to benefit you. So I do think that a lot of that, like I said, is again fear-based. I don't really see these cards as being people, but I do just like to throw those signs out there in case they do resonate with somebody. But ultimately, I think it's just energetically stuff that's going on in your head, this imbalance and this mental or emotional weakness, and it's all just in your head. It's all just fear. And for some of you guys, that fear is kind of controlling you. So the cards that we have beneath your central issue are cards in your foundation. This is stuff that you already know about, things that you bring with you into the month, or things that are really just in your control. And we have the Sage of Crystals in reverse. This is the deck's version of the Queen of Pentacles. So we could be dealing with earth signs here, which would be Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Capricorn is especially relevant because we do have the shadow or the devil. So sign-wise, if that makes sense to you guys, take that and run with it. For others of you, maybe you're in a position when you're in your life where you're feeling a little bit insecure, especially in your material world. Maybe, you know, you've been having some financial issues, some issues at work. You could also just be feeling a bit ungrounded, unstable, either in your health or, you know, I know this isn't a swords card, but even on a mental level, you just feel out of sorts. And if I couple this up here with the Strength card in reverse, there is that kind of element of weakness, you know, just this lack of fortitude. Because this Sage of Crystals in the upright is somebody who's really kind of standing on a strong foundation. There's a lot of growth and really positive energy around her. And she's just sort of reveling in all of this beauty and all of this nature. And, you know, I think that with this card being in the reverse for a lot of you, you're finding it hard to be in a position where you can really enjoy yourselves. And I think that that's going to be because of this stuff that may be going on in your head, all of that self-doubt, you know, that fear that you've got going on. And that's kind of echoed here with the Adept of Chalices or the Knight of Cups and the Traditional Tarot in reverse. This is probably going to be your energy. And I think that this speaks to kind of that emotional imbalance that we have reflected here with Divine Justice being in reverse. Maybe you've been feeling all out of whack, all out of sorts. Your emotions are kind of going out of control. Maybe you feel overwhelmed. I just get this sense like it's really hard for me to put a lot of these cards together and words together, and I think that that's just because I'm kind of picking up on the confusion that a lot of you guys are feeling. So, you know, with these cards being underneath you, I think it's important that this is kind of like a reminder that these things are in your control. You know, there are certain things that happen in our lives that we can't really control, but we can always control our response to the things around us, and we can control the way that we perceive ourselves. And so I think that if you start to let go of some of that fear and realize that, you know, you are strong, come from a place of more logical, rational thinking, which I know is difficult for Pisces, being pretty much the most emotional sign in the zodiac, then you can really start to see that everything isn't as bad as you think it is, that you have more potential than you even know, and you'll be able to get your emotions in check. And when you kind of begin to clear your head and look at your situation and see things for what they actually are, that's going to allow you to move forward. That'll help you get this Eight of Flames in reverse and turn it into the upright so you can start moving. Now, going into the near future, we have the shadow or the devil. So again, this could be Capricorn. But for a lot of you guys, I think it's going to be kind of just echoing everything that I've been saying. You know, going back to the star, maybe you want something to happen so badly that you compromise yourself in order to get one step closer. And even though you're trying to move one step closer and one step closer, this ultimate outcome is still unattainable. And so I think you get in a situation where you trap yourselves in a toxic and vicious cycle. So the devil can be a card about addictions and giving it to temptation, but I don't really think it's going to be that for you guys. If anything, this might be some sort of dependency situation where, you know, maybe you want a relationship to work out so badly that you just cling to this person, and the situation is something toxic and ultimately not right for either of you. You know, if you've gone through a breakup, maybe you're still clinging on to that negative energy surrounding your breakup, these past relationship issues. It's just, I get this sense of emotional baggage and the inability to really get yourself out of this trap that you've kind of built. You know, you can see the spider web there. And I think that some of you guys are just going to continue to be stuck unless you kind of wake up and have this revelation. So, you know, if a relationship has ended, you need to come to grips with the fact that it's over. If a job opportunity didn't work out, come to grips with the fact that it's over. You know, apply that to you as you will, and not only realize that something that may not have worked out in your past is over, have an understanding that maybe it wasn't right for you, that the reason why it didn't work out is because you're meant to move on to something better. And when you realize that and understand that you've survived up to this point and that you are strong and you are capable, and really reclaim your power, I think that you're going to be able to flip this card into the reverse and get out of these toxic mental states that have been holding you back, and really be able to move forward into something that is bigger and better and brighter for you. And I think some of you guys are going to start to do that. You're going to start putting in the work because, you know, take a look at our overall energy for our reading. We have the Three of Orbs, or the Three of Swords in reverse. And that is about letting, you know, go of heartbreak, betrayal, anger, just all of these negative emotions. And I'll show you in the upright. You can see that this lightning is hitting, but look at all that sunlight. You know, you have this massive bit of light beginning to break through the dark clouds, and even out here in the water, you know, you're starting to have that breakthrough on a mental level. This realization that, hey, you know, I've been through the ringer, something didn't work out, something hurt my feelings, I got my heart broken, whatever the case may be for you guys, and you're gonna have to start moving on. And I think that some of you guys are going to start to do that because we do have the Five of Chalices in reverse for your distant future card. So toward the end of the month, you know, this is the Five of Cups in the traditional tarot. And in the upright, you see that we have this woman here, and she's mourning the loss of these 3 cups and ignoring the 2 cups that she still has. So I think that by the end of the month, some of you guys are going to start to wake up and see the light. Realize that things aren't as bad as you've made them out to be. Kind of, if you've been grieving something or someone, begin to start letting go of that emotional burden that's kind of been holding you down. And I don't think that you're gonna resolve all of these inner issues by the end of this month, but I do think that some of you guys are gonna start putting in the work. But my only concern is that in the future, we do have that Devil or the Shadow card in the upright. And so I am scared that some of you guys are gonna slip back into the same old toxic patterns that, you know, put you in this kind of negative position in the first place. So I just really want to caution those of you to whom that may apply to realize that you are better than that, and that you are worth so much more, and you don't need that kind of negativity or toxicity in your life. So I do have another deck here, and it is an oracle card deck, and I use these to kind of interpret past and future energies, things that have influenced you up to this point, things that are going to be influencing you throughout the month. And so in your past, we have the Red Panda, or compassion, and I think this card really symbolizes Pisces as a sign. And it's, you know, you're always the empath, you're always trying to be sure that everybody's treated right, that you don't get into conflicts with anybody, that everybody's happy at all times. You know, you try to people please, and you give so much of yourselves that eventually you stop taking care of you, and your own self-image suffers. And I think that some of you guys have been trying to take care of other people for so long that, you know, you really have stopped moving on your path, and maybe you've even gotten stuck in some toxic cycles, toxic relationships, jobs, thought patterns, or even, you know, addictions, and just to kind of cope on an emotional level. So I think that's what some of you guys are bringing with you into the month. And then for the future energy, we have the skunk or compromise. And this is kind of the same exact thing, this notion of compromising yourselves for the sake of security. You know, like maybe instead of leaving behind this toxic situation that we see in the shadow, you choose to stay there because maybe you have this desire to take care of the other person. You begin to think, well, without me, they're going to be nothing. Or even the converse, without them, I will be nothing. I'm not strong. I don't have this solid foundation, and it'll just throw my world out of whack or whatever. And as a result, you compromise yourselves and you sacrifice your self-respect, your dignity, your self-worth, because again, like I said, you deserve so much more than what a lot of you guys are getting in your current situation. So I think that ultimately the lesson here for you guys, the key for this month is going to be breaking cycles, breaking patterns, and kind of, you know, with Pisces being such an emotional sign, kind of toning down that emotional energy and beginning to take more of a logical, rational, level-headed stance. Think a little bit more with your head than your heart, which is, I know it's difficult for Pisces to do, but it's something you have to do for your own good. And I think that a lot of you guys are going to start to make that push on a mental and emotional level to let go of some of the baggage that's been holding you back. Especially if there are people in your past who you're having a hard time letting go of. So, you know, ultimately the energy I think is really positive. I am excited by that 5 of chalices in reverse at the end of the month and the 3 of orbs in reverse for your overall energy. But do really try to be careful. These 2 cards here really kind of scare me with the 8 of flames in reverse and the shadow. I'm just scared that some people are going to continue to stay stuck in those cycles. So if that does pertain to you, really think long and hard about what it is you want and what it is that you deserve. Because if you are in a negative situation, you deserve so much better, and you're worth so much more, and you're doing a disservice to yourself by staying in that situation. So I do hope that this message resonated with some of you guys. If not, always make sure to check your moon and rising signs. I do plan on doing a mid-month update in the middle of August, so you know, keep an eye out for that. Subscribe so you don't miss those videos. I would appreciate, you know, any comments that you guys have, questions. I'd love to talk to you guys. If you like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it immensely. I'm really trying to build this channel and get it up off the ground, and I definitely need y'all's help to do that. So I hope this resonated for you guys, and I will see you in the middle of August with your mid-month update.